get this running. Welcome to Aural Hygiene. It is the podcast where we talk about educational films, experimental avant-garde films, and interesting documentaries. Matt's here. Andrew's here.
Andrew's here.
There
Thank
he
you.
is.
You're
This is the dawning of the age of a evil millennium today. We're just dawn of an evil millennium. Hey.
yeah.
Which again, actually, yeah, this week is both things you sent my way. So what the hell
Yeah.
is this, man?
So this is a Damon Packard film. And this was one of the very first that he came out with. He's an American underground filmmaker. And this is an experimental horror movie. This is about 25 minutes long, made in 1988. And it's odd, but it's also really entertaining. It seems to be about like a guy who's turned into some kind of like bloodthirsty zombie monster. And in the third act of the film, the heroes show up and reveal like what the plot of the movie is. And the rest of it turns out to be a trailer for something that was never actually made.
Yeah, it's a 20-minute trailer for an 18-hour film. That sounds legit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because at the end they say that, obviously it's a joke. This movie is never coming, but it was a student film. It was something that he made in film school, and so I really love it because I it was a Super 8, and so there's a lot of like Evil Deadness to it, a lot of early Peter Jacksonness to it.
Yeah, I can see that. What did I put? Oh, I just put that this is what like Fast and Furious films should be like now.
Yeah, but the entertainment value of this comes from the fact that Packard is an amazing editor. I mean, this thing would be, if they applied his style to a horror movie now, it would just drive people bonkers. I mean, it moves really fast. The audio is insanely. Did you feel that this was scary?
No, I mean, yes, the few that it's not scary jump cuts. I hate one, Event Horizon style jump cuts really piss me off. This has tons of jump cuts, but none of them seem to quite do that because it's like cityscape, blah. That's just funny.
But I just mean like the sound and the way because this actor he has that's playing this, should we call him vampire? Should we call him zombie? He's
I
got
think he's
sharp
from
teeth and
space.
blood. Okay, well, he's
Don't they
got
say
sharp teeth and blood all over his face.
once they give you the trailer stuff? Don't they mention something about space?
Yeah, he's like a demon from space that has come down to destroy humanity, and then they've got these cop and his partner who are going to go up against him and stop him. But
Who only show
this
up in the
is,
last 2 minutes.
I was going to say, this is after a good 20 minutes of watching this monster just go around acing people. Lots of gore, lots of blood, not necessarily special effects like head crushings and things like that, but just like splattering blood and really kind of almost, I mean, this was like borderline psychedelic imagery with some of it, when you say.
Oh yeah, definitely. I put one of my first notes is like this film, like the physical medium got high. Like it came out of the canister and found a blunt, right?
Did you like it?
I don't even know, to be honest. I was definitely fascinated by watching it. Well, my final note. I mean, I liked it, but my final note is like, what the fuck did I just watch? Oh, did we just watch? I include you. How nice of me. Okay.
Oh, well, I'd seen it before. I'm a fan of Packard. I enjoy his work. I do find him a really inspiring filmmaker because, you think about this and like, even if it was made tomorrow, it would be impressive.
No,
But the
I was
fact
having
that it
trouble
was,
placing the date. Like I was like, because they clearly are like kind of referencing They Live a little bit, because they have
uh-huh,
the soundtrack down, down, down. And then the guy gets aced, right? But
yeah.
like, and then I was like, oh, is this guy on the rooftop supposed to be like a shitty Matrix? I'm like, oh, it's 88. Well, it can't be. So
No. Yeah, it was an 80s student film, obviously made before digital video and before nonlinear editing. And so, yeah, to me, the fact that he pulls off this like fairly frightening demonic character the sounds that he makes are just really, I just found, let's put it this way, if it was to be turned on in a room when you were in the dark and like maybe just woken up, this would mess you up.
Yeah.
And also just the way that it's cut, like you were saying, where he can suddenly just be like screaming, the look of him is, I think, frightening. It
The
just
other the other
overall,
anachronistic reference I got is, and it hadn't happened yet, was it kept making me think of like Edgar suit and Men in Black, you know? He kind of moves that way a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, he's got a contorted, all of it though just makes for, and there are moments that are just blatantly comedic, especially like the further along you get, when it seems to show outtakes of the heroes, like the guy trying to light his cigarette really cool and he burns himself, you know.
I mean, you asked if I liked it, and it's definitely the film for this podcast. This is definitely a film you would throw on at a movie, just a party. I mean, kind of. Did I say party you throw on at a movie? The kind of movie you throw on at a party, you know,
Yeah, you
just
did.
to play with people's minds.
Well, yeah, because if you're having a conversation or doing anything and then this movie is on, you're gonna stop and go, whoa. Because it's not just about like being like weird. It actually, I mean, I think it does play for the Evil Dead and the like basket case kind of crowd.
Yeah, this actually does not count as the cinema transgression formally, does it?
No,
Because I
because
feel
it was
like
not.
in that scene, right?
Yeah, no, the thing is, it has things in common with that because the people that did the cinema transgression, particularly in the case of people like Charles Pinion, Nick Zed, Richard Kern, they loved horror. They loved stuff like Evil Dead.
Yeah, but to me, just the idea of, what the hell are you going to see next, seems this film seems to even do better than some of those current films and stuff.
Yeah, it does because I think it keeps its focus on some sort of narrative and some sort of story, whereas with Kern, sex and violence were kind of like shown interchangeably for shock value, and there was a large degree of kink involved, which had to do with the various scenes in New York City at the time. Whereas this guy, I think, was more of like the Jim Van Beber school of just guerrilla filmmaking, and it's like, okay, how freaky could I be with just what I have? And a lot of its power comes from the way that it's shot and the way that it's cut, because um and there's a sci-fi element to it,
Oh
which I
yeah,
thought was
it's like
great.
suddenly Alpha Centauri. It's like, what? That's where they start the
Yeah.
trailer stuff. They're like, now that we have aliens, we better start explaining something here.
Yeah, about 10 minutes in, I would say, is when some sort of narration begins and you get some sort of idea of the context and of what you're seeing. Because for the most part, this movie is, at least in the beginning, a guy running around acting like a maniac and killing people.
Right.
Like,
And you can't understand any of the dialogue almost, right? I was like,
no,
am I supposed to be understanding this? And uh, can we do the no, it doesn't sound as good. I was wondering how hard Bill Hicks's microphone trick really was.
yeah, no, it's meant to be disorienting and it's meant to be freaky, but it's really exciting. Like when you hear experimental film, I think a lot of people think, oh, this is going to be boring and, like just different kind of, uh, images being juxtaposed just for the hell of it.
No, here you
But
get
here,
zombie alien car chase with, Vangelis or something.
yeah, the car chase is fantastic, but they weren't really chasing, weren't they didn't have a real car chase kind of thing going on. You see like him push the pedal and you hear the sound of it, you see headlights and you see explosions, but it's, you know what I mean? None of it's actually happening. I mean, he
I
did great.
think I think he actually did take one of those old driver simulation films and just speed it up and stick it in.
I mean, it's, you figure, what would he have had access to back then? Library stuff would have
Yeah,
probably
like
been easier.
yeah. I mean, maybe he had a friend who worked at the driver's ed and just like, hey, can we borrow that film?
I don't know, but it has that feel and that look. You're absolutely right. But it's very entertaining, I thought,
No,
despite being
I would
like,
be disappointed if he filmed it, to be honest. I really hope he did repurpose some driver's
he
education.
had to have. He had to have. A lot of this stuff feels like things that are either found or stock. And that's, I think, what makes a great filmmaker on that level, and especially in the experimental category, is what you are able to do with things that are just kind of available. and then shoot around them something really interesting to tie it all together.
Once the cops show up, there is some fantastic sucker punching.
There is. There is an actor in this that he must have been friends with, Miles O'Keefe. And he takes a good like kind of fake punch to the face. And he does a real kind of like picture punch, they call it, where it's the kind of punch that's only done in the movies, where you don't see the actual contact.
I saw a pretty intense sucker punch on Monday.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was teaching kids aged about 6 to 9 in this class, and actually it's a very nice class. But one kid's just like, kind of psychotic or something. He's kind of like one of those kids going around punching everyone a little bit, right? Kicking him like stop, give him a warning, and then we're just standing there. We're about to do a game, right? Over, and then he just turns around to the kid next to him, boom, giant haymaker, and
Oh no.
yeah, I kicked him out of class at that point, but yeah, he can't be around other kids. But I was like, whoa!
Was
Like
that to the head or to the body?
to the head.
Oh my God.
Fortunately, I guess he's not that strong, but I was just like, that was an intense haymaker sucker punch there, dude.
God. Yeah. Oh man.
And
Well,
the point being, it was similar to the one I saw in this movie.
in this movie.
So
Now, did the punch happen before you saw this movie or after?
before.
Okay. So if it would have happened after, you'd expect the kid to go like
Oh, right.
suddenly have a face full of blood.
I think he does that a lot anyway, but I haven't
Yeah,
seen him with a face full of blood yet. But
yeah, well, it's coming.
yeah.
They also have various degrees of this demon in here, because it also around the 10 to 15 minute mark, he becomes like completely charred. His face looks totally black, and his hands are as well.
Yeah. Maybe this is what they should have when we talked about Psych by the 4D Witch, when the brother turns into like a sex vampire. It's just so shitty. Just insert this film in there when he's supposed to become a vampire or whatever, and that should work.
Yeah. No, it would work. I
Because
think so.
this film is equally whacked to that one. Although weird, I feel weird saying Psych by the 4D Witch is like has a more coherent story, but it kind of does.
No, it kind of does. No, I mean, somebody with Psyched the 4D Witch had to be like, look, man, we got to pull this thing together somehow. I mean, this has to have. But okay. I mean, when you think about experimental film, I mean, do you feel like this falls into that category, or you think this is one of those ones that's kind of borderline? Had it had a little bit more, could it have been cut into a narrative feature if it added more things with the cops?
Well, I just listened to a podcast about Dark Star, actually, where Dark Star was 50 minutes long originally because it was a student film. And then they had a few rounds of later production where they pumped it. I think they pumped it up another 50 minutes and pulled it back and then shot just a little more. Like, it was really weird how it happened. I mean, the whole Alien Beach Ball was a later edition. Now, the original Dark Star was 50 minutes. There was already quite a bit there. But what if you did expand this to, say, an 80-minute feature? Or an 18-hour feature?
I mean, how much could you reasonably watch of this? It's the way that it's cut together. I feel like it's pretty much like a sensory assault.
Yeah, if there was a legit dialogue scene or something, it would kind of like deflate the film, maybe.
Yeah. Do you think the stuff at the end with the heroes takes away from it?
Not really. I actually kind of like that, because it's like I said, it's like the film crawled out of its canister and got high,
Yeah. Well, it also shows that the people weren't taking themselves super seriously that made it. And let's face it, the times that they do show the demon in its most human form, he looks super goofy.
I guess now that we're taking the airplane view of the stuff, is that an experimental film trope, deflating your film like that at the end? We talked about in the Quack. You kind of did it with Space Boobs, where it just kind of like, it starts to sort of deconstruct itself, or in this case, probably construct itself somewhere way down the line.
I think in this case, it is a way of constructing itself, but I don't feel like he ever had any plan to make it into anything more than it was either. I know that there's still talk of a sequel to this, I have no clue if he plans on actually doing that, but it would be interesting to see if he was able to like reharness this, because in his other work, in his later work, he naturally got better as a filmmaker, but he did lose some of his ability to just make some wild shit like this. So I can't say whether or not this other stuff is actually better, but it is a bit different.
Well, yeah, they were doing a little older than we were, but I think we were just running around with the camera doing the same sort of shit, so as teenagers.
Yeah.
So.
I will say that, have you seen a movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow?
I've seen some of it. I definitely know of the movie and what the vibe is there.
Well, I bring that up because I would be interested in knowing your take on how it ends. Because the
Oh, okay, I
ending,
haven't gone that
the
far.
first time I saw the ending, it infuriated me. Like I loved like 90% of the movie, and then I absolutely hated the last 10%. But later, as time went on, I started to think about it in terms of deconstruction and in terms of humor, the way that you were talking about. I actually now really love it. So if you do get a chance to see, I think it falls into the category of science fiction, but
Yeah,
there
it's
is
crossed my mind.
horror.
I've never quite thought of which of these two podcasts it's a better fit for. But no, I started watching
Yeah,
about 5 years ago, and it's got glacial pacing, right? And I just wasn't feeling it at the time, so I
yeah,
yeah.
it does. It's Panos Cosmatos. He later made a movie called Mandy, I believe, with Nicolas Cage, and that one was a little bit more Hollywood paced rather than indie film paced. But yeah, Beyond the Black Rainbow, best seen as a midnight movie. I saw it at Cinefest at GSU, and it was like no one in the theater except me and my date, and it really like sucks you in. I found it to be kind of fantastic. But yeah, the way it ends is very unexpected, and I'd be interested to see what you thought,
Yeah.
based on what you said about
Uh,
this. But I agree. I agree. I think that's what they were doing.
yeah. So, and getting back, yeah, I liked it. It's probably one that you do again. You probably should watch it twice if you can handle it.
Yeah.
So, because the second time, now I don't know, but then it doesn't have quite the sensory assault anymore because you kind of know what they're getting at.
Yeah, there's nothing like the first time you watch something like this. It's a bit mind blowing, but I don't think anyone would sit there and go like, "I need to turn this off because I'm bored."
Right. Oh no, no, I don't think that would happen. Even though
There's
it's
just
relatively incoherent through most of it. It's not boring. It's just incoherent.
yeah, you don't you kind of. But this is what I love about experimental film, and to a degree, indie film, is because they know what you're expecting, because they know what you've seen, the kind of movie you've seen the most. So in that regard, and I consider this to be experimental horror, um, it's in a way the most true horror, which is the mysterious and the unexpected.
Right. Oh, speaking of which, the one note I kind of missed there is when the trailer starts, I was like, are they just trying to explain the Highlander to us or something? Like probably the second one.
it did it did seem that way. I was a bit on the fence of it being spoiled by that, but I just thought, yeah, they were kind of reining themselves in a little bit, and it gives you more enough of an idea of who the filmmakers are. If this wasn't on there, you'd think, oh, these people might just be like, super splatter punks or something. But
Yeah, I'm just trying to blow
um,
your mind, man.
yeah, but this shows you that they're actually fans of, I think, mainstream film. I mean, the
Right.
whole cop buddy cop thing, but that shot of how they had the alien ship like clip the guy,
Yeah.
that was really cool because there was never actually a ship made.
So yeah, good budget effects,
Yeah,
and good.
no, it's
Of
great.
course, we are fans of budget effects, of course. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, and so another reason to watch movies like this, if you're someone that wants to make your own, is that um, these movies made in this style on this budgetary level um, really make you feel like I could do that. There's not a whole lot of mystery as terms of how they did it.
Right, right. It's still inventive, of course, but yeah. And
It
seeing your thing, I
is.
can't imagine there's any experimental filmmakers that are just like I exclusively watch other experimental films. And that seems like you'd be
Hmm.
maybe there is, but yeah, seems like you
I
just want to
find.
throw on something
I
from time
mean,
to time.
yeah. If you were concerned about like originality. You wouldn't unconsciously like have this influence of someone else's experimental film. But I like them.
The most fun experimental film people would be people that hate films and never watch films, but they're obsessed with making experimental films. Like Dr. Seuss writing kids' books, hates kids.
Yeah, that's true. Him and Roald Dahl,
Yeah.
the homies in that way. Yeah. No, I'd just be like, here's my experimental film. I turn on the camera with my toe, and then I kick the camera down the street.
Could be cool.
I take a dump on the lens. This is what I think of you, cinema.
The blind photographer and Pecker, that was fun.
It was. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh my God. I mean, I guess that's what it would be. I mean, who knows? My kid was 1 when they made their first movie, and it was literally me just handing them a camera that was already on to see what they would film. And it turned out freaky.
I guess it would.
It was genuinely freaky.
And there's been some other films you've made at your queue.
That's right.
Juju.
Speaking of, my friends and I here in Athens, Georgia, we're called Gonzorific, GONZORIFFIC. We are currently celebrating our 20-year anniversary. Thanks to the continued help of people like you, who bring no, not the listener. No, you're thinking of PBS.
No,
from viewers like you.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, that combine what they do. As we know, film is a combination of all the arts put together, and so we make it work as a group from all our combined efforts. It's a Voltron with big boobs and menstrual blood all around its feet. And if you're in the Athens, Georgia area, November 12th and 13th, we'll have our midnight movie show, which will happen at 11:15. So not quite 12.
Oh, I guess we don't stay up that late anymore, or we do.
They don't. The older people get, the more they complain about how late my show is, and so we're gonna get them like good and sloshed around 10 p.m. at the bar, and then movie at 11ish.
Oh, breaking news! Kylo Ren won. I got these little miniatures on my bass speaker down here, and the ray has fallen off. So
that's what you get, dumbass.
More like that.
That was pretty good. Kylo, I hope Kylo shows up in the sequel to this.
Yes. Adam Driver does experimental films, right? Or indie films.
That's right. He could be the driver.
Oh yeah, lots of cards here. Anyway, this is Aural Hygiene, Facebook, Twitter. You're listening to it now. You found it this far. Podcastius is the Patreon where you will find this and other episodes. And when I think about posting them early, I post them early, which sometimes means a month, but sometimes it's like 2 days. Yeah, a moment of silence for that sentence. Okay.
Yeah, I was just blowing my mind a little bit.
Oh, this one? Actually, this one's pretty close to that. This one gets posted in 3 days. Okay. No, the last one gets posted in 3 days. You have to wait 10 days for this one, but that's neither here nor there because the person listening to it is listening to it in the now.
That's right. Well, if you watch this movie and you don't know what the hell it is and want to talk to us about it, keep moving. I don't want to talk to you about it.